Your channel has accessed Birla-Parakh's explosive letter to the CVC dated August 8, 2005, and this letter reveals how the former coal secretary was being harassed by the coal mafia within the coal ministry.
Now, in the letter, Parakh even requested the cabinet secretary for safeguards to prevent the MPs from abusing their powers. The high-level communication also shows the CVC in agreement with Parakh's complaints.
He has been named in the FIR in the Coalgate scam. But explosive letters accessed by Times Now reveals how the man being accused by the CBI felt harassed by the coal mafia in the coal ministry. Part 3 of Parakh's letter expose shows Parakh complained to the Vigilance Commissioner over repeated interference and harassment to officers under him from the political class. Parakh alleged motivated complaints from members of parliament and requested the cabinet secretary for safeguards to prevent MPs from abusing their privileged position for blackmailing and intimidating senior executives of public sector companies.
And some of those issues were communications which I had with the cabinet secretary in respect of various members of parliament creating problems for me or for CMDs of my companies, and those are the documents which have come into public domain now. Now they clearly say what really was happening in the coal ministry.
Back in July 2005, the then CVC P. Shankar even agreed with Parakh, saying the complaints against officials processed by respective ministries are dealt with objectively. The CVC even suggested changing the existing processes to handle complaints against officials by making CVC the focal point and dissuading independent action by ministries.
There was another member of parliament who sort of used very abusive language against me in a consultative committee of parliament, and I thought that it was too much to stomach, and that's why I decided to send my letter of resignation to cabinet secretary.
Another letter accessed by Times Now from Coal Users Association to the CBI backs Parakh and makes scathing observations of certain ministers in the coal ministry. As more and more dirt emerges in the ongoing Coalgate probe, these letters accessed by Times Now further exposing the rot in the coal ministry. Bureau Report, Times Now.
Now joining us for more on this story. Meetu, we have been accessing letters that show the kind of rot that existed, continues to exist in the coal ministry. This is the latest in that series. And what all these letters show is that there seems to be a lack of political will to tackle these issues, even though they were highlighted repeatedly.
That's right. In fact, the sense one gets from all the letters, the series of correspondence that was taking place between former Coal Secretary P.C. Parakh and the Cabinet Secretary, and also, of course, the various, other officials like the CVC. The sense one gets is that the coal ministry has really become a milking cow, and it is being used by one and all, especially the political leadership, for their own gains. In fact, we have one such letter. This is of P.C. Parakh's response. The response to a letter by P.C. Parakh. This is a letter written by P. Shankar. He was the CVC at that time, and P. Shankar, he is essentially talking about the basic issue where complaints by the senior political leaders are concerned, and this is what the P. Shankar letter says. He says the commission has more than once noted that complaints even from senior responsible persons such as members of parliament, often knowingly or otherwise, become instruments of pressure and harassment of honest officials, both in the government and in the public sector. So the CVC is admitting that yes, where complaints against officials or bureaucrats are concerned, often these are addressed by the ministries themselves, and ministries are headed by a political entity. Often this becomes an instrument of harassing them. Essentially what P.C. Parakh had suggested and what P. Shankar had suggested to him is that in the future any complaint against a bureaucrat should actually be marked to the CVC, and this issue needs to be taken up at the level of the Committee of Secretaries, and the Committee of Secretaries should turn this into a institutionalized mechanism. However, that never happened, even though P. Shankar has told Times Now that he did make this a point time and again. He raised it, he even put it in his annual report. However, this was not really really adhered to by the political leadership. And at the end of the day, what you are seeing is in the coal ministry, for instance, the coal ministry being used by various members of parliament. And in this instance, if I may just point out, the issue that came to the CBC was about the CMD, one of the CMDs who was being harassed, and the CMD essentially complained to Birla-Parakh. And the complaint was against a member of parliament called Narendra Kushwaha. Kushwaha was the same member of parliament who was actually disqualified in the cash for questions scam. So essentially a number of complaints coming against members of parliament and going to the CVC, which ultimately led to nothing at the end.
Well, all those who complained against the honest bureaucrat seem to be in the dock or, have been found guilty, Meetu. So is this going to force the CBI, the letters that we are putting out and the way it's all being constructed around 2005, will it force the CBI to rethink on its 14th FIR and also the fact that they have named Birla-Parakh in it?
Well, you see, the sense one gets from this whole thing, and where Birla-Parakh is concerned, Birla-Parakh is coming across as a person who was more of a whistleblower. And in fact, even when he's been speaking to us, he's been saying that where the Hindalco case is concerned, it's more of an error of judgment where the CBI is concerned, and he has done no wrong.